Welcome to Digital Marketing, Data, and Analytics Talk. In this series on career in digital and web analytics, today I'm talking to Alan Connect. He's the president of Connectology. He has 20 plus years of experience in digital and web analytics. In this conversation, he shares his wisdom on what it takes to be a world class digital analyst. Throughout this conversation, he will be sharing his tips on what tools, technologies, and soft skills you need to acquire to start or enhance your career as a digital analyst. But before we dive into the conversation, make sure to hit the subscribe button on this channel and click on the bell icon so that you get notified when I publish new videos. And if you like this video, which I'm sure you will, then make sure to hit the like button. So if you're ready, let's dive into the conversation. Hey, Alan, thank you for your time today. Let's start with your introduction. What do you do on a daily basis and how you got started in this field?
Well, great to connect with you today. So I'm going to start. My name is Alan Connect. These days, I'm an independent analytics consultant. And what do I do on a daily basis? I help people get the most out of their analytics. First of all, I make sure that their analytics is running correctly. And one of my major products that I sell is an analytics audit, because despite the marketing, and I spend most of my time in the world of Google Analytics, but other analytics tools, you can't just take their code, paste it in your WordPress site, and boom, you're getting data. Great, but you're not necessarily collecting the right data, the correct data. So I make sure that they audit them, that they're correcting. I work with them to define a measurement plan, because you're using analytics to measure your marketing success, your online marketing success, your website success. But what measuring tool? It's like taking out a tape measure that has no marks on it. Yeah, I can see the overall length, but what are the milestones? So I work with a lot of companies on doing things like that, getting sure that their data that they're reviewing and reporting on is as accurate as possible. And then it is optimized to give them the information to evaluate their marketing efforts. Yeah. Now, how did I get started in this? So somewhat, I think, a bit of a humorous question, because I got started on this, I never remember the exact date, but it was something around 1996. So I'm an old timer in this industry. And I built my first website. And I said, I wonder if anybody's coming here. So I quickly read up on how I could do some tracking, and at that time you put a JavaScript on your page that had a counter built into it, and it would increment every time someone hit your home page. The only way you could get that data was I had to go to my website, which was an increment of 1. So I started realizing this data is flawed. Every time I check it out, I'm incrementing it, or it was a mislink. So then I started researching, and that's where AW Stats, which was the first analytics tool, really came out. It was the first free open source type of product. It was what's called a log analyzer, and it would churn through log files. I then became an expert at reading log files and dissecting information. And with that, I evolved with the industry. I remember working at a client, a large insurance company, when a company called WebTrends came out and was promoting WebTrends version 1.0 of visual log, gave you some graphics with the log reader. I made them spend, it was about $100 at the time, got it, installed it, started generating great information. And then started realizing all the pros and cons and working with people to get better analytics. Then database backend analytics tools came out. And then from when Google bought up Urchent, started working with that on their beta product, and have evolved along the way. Thing as tag managers come out. So now I do a lot of tag manager work, because putting in a basic snippet of code just doesn't cut it anymore. And if you don't know how to use Tag Manager and when to use it, more importantly, in the features, you're not getting the right information. And of course, we all love the reports in Google Analytics, but managing user access is a nightmare. And most people don't want to learn how to use Google Analytics. They just want to come and look at the report that they need. Yeah. And either you're going to spend your entire time cutting and pasting and putting into a PowerPoint, or these days, you do data visualization through things like Tableau or Data Studio. So, Of course, as the industry's evolved, I do Data Studio. Part of over those 20 plus years in the industry, or about 25 years now, I've done everything from building websites to search engine optimization to search engine and social media marketing. And I help companies, because I have that fundamental background, understand how those interactions can be properly tracked and evaluated. Is it worth the time? Everyone tells you, go on Twitter, go on Facebook, it's free. No, it's not free. You're paying someone to do it.
Yeah.
There's a cost.
Yes. Or
There's
your
an
time.
opportunity cost.
Yeah.
So how do I evaluate, are we doing that? How can I segregate that the person I'm paying who's putting posts up to drive people to a blog post or interact with my site, how do I measure that different when I'm buying a Facebook ad? How do I differentiate it from paid Google AdWords or Bing ads? How do I differentiate it from someone who's putting something up on Twitter? How do I start differentiating where somebody else comes to my website, reads a great blog post, and then shares it over on Facebook from when I'm promoting it? So those are the things that I help clients understand the importance of doing it, what it's going to take from their end, and what it's going to take from analytics configuration.
My journey was very similar to yours. Started in databases and log files, and then moved to these JavaScript-based solutions. Now, you mentioned a lot of tools: Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, Google Data Studio. Which tools would you recommend to an organization or somebody who's just starting out in digital analytics?
Well, it all depends on budgets. And I work with clients who have, I don't want to say unlimited budgets, but some who have very large budgets and some who have smaller budgets. So just starting with your three basic: Google Analytics, learning how to leverage Google Tag Manager, and reporting through Google Data Studio is a great trilogy of products that can get you there. When you start trying to track and monitor things, and we should be all familiar with marketing, if you're using Google Analytics, what are called the UTM codes, putting the medium, the source, you got to start learning how to leverage URL shorteners. I personally like Bitly and registered my own domains and so forth so that I have a branded domain that I can go out and market and have these nice short URLs, which will pass on these huge parameters on the end. So that's one of the tools that you can add in. If you want something a little more robust than Data Studio, start looking at Tableau. Tableau, and then you need to start looking at all the APIs. You can also look at BigQuery. Depending on your site, you can bring in BigQuery and do some very, very huge data extractions out of your Google Analytics. Do them on a daily basis and populate other reporting systems and bringing in reports from other ones. I'm working with a large client right now where they're using Google Analytics to track traffic, certain behaviors, use customer interactions on their site, and for lead generation. But then on their lead generation, they're attaching all sorts of other information based on the data source, which is being actually extracted from Google Analytics, but then it is being passed into a third-party custom system so that they can start evaluating not just Google Analytics campaign reports, but they can start saying, and this is something that has a dealer network of several hundred dealers, which ad campaigns are working, which regionals are working. We can start extracting much more detail, even which products that are being marketed at much greater detail with a greater ease than you could ever do in just in Google Analytics or even with Data Studio.
Yes, absolutely. One tool is not going to be enough. To see a complete user journey, you need to have multiple tools. To visualize the data in a certain way, you'll need another set of tools. Now, this brings me to my next question. Which 2 or 3 skills you recommend that digital analysts need to have to be successful in their craft?
That's 2 or 3 skills. Besides being, I think you need to know more than the world of analytics. You need to research and understand the world of online commerce and marketing. You don't have to be an expert in online business or an expert on online marketing, but you have to understand how those people think. And I've met a lot of people in this industry, in the world of analytics. Some have come out of the marketing world, but don't come out of the IT world. So they don't have the skill set to learn how to do detailed SQL queries. And yes, it's an important skill. Yes, you can go learn it. Or if you know enough about the big picture and you know somebody who does it, you know what to ask them to thing. You have to understand how everything works. I always like to use an analogy of a car. Almost none of us in this world are mechanics anymore, but we still need to know it's an internal, for most of us, it's still an internal combustion engine. It requires gasoline. It requires oil for the motor. We have to get the oil changed regularly. We're not asking you to change the oil, but how do you go find someone reliable to change the oil? How do you know when your tire's worn out, needs replacing? Those are the things that you have to think about from the world of analytics. We're the drivers of the car.
Mm-hmm.
We need to make sure that the oil is topped off, the air pressure in the tires is correct, and the car has gas to run. Now, where your family member or the person who you have this car is going out and doing isn't so important. But we want to be able to come back and say, wow, look at the good fuel efficiency. Look at this. We can then make recommendations on future.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you for your valuable insights. I wish we had more time so we could have kept going. I know we can continue this conversation for hours, but we have to end here. So thank you very much.
My pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed this video and got some valuable insights from this conversation. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions for me or Alan, then make sure to leave a comment below and we will get back to you. Thank you.